Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. So as we get into the heaviness that is Q4 2025, the question has to be is, are we going to be selling in Q4? Do you think there's going to be an extension of maybe into Q1, Q2 of 2026? Or is it just never selling and just enjoy the 10-year bull market that's coming? And as you may have heard of this before, this is actually a month-old interview. And this is Tom Lee from Fundstrat. And he is talking about the bull run that is now going to be a decade long. I'm not here to judge Tom Lee or say that he is essentially wrong or right. I'm just going to take a listen to him. Then we're going to come back and we're going to take a look at some negative factors that I can definitely see on the horizon of where we're potentially going, not in the greatest direction. So take a listen to this. This is about a minute and a half or so, over an 18-minute interview, but interesting points that Tom is making here. So take a listen.
Be skeptical of the world because that's in their bias. And so I think we're judgment-free that way. People call us permabulls, but it's really more we're judgment-free.
So in terms of where we are right now, I mean, you said 2035 there on the demographics. Are we very early in a new bull market? But we've obviously had an extended bull market already.
Yeah, I think that's what confuses folks because I would say generally we've been up since 2020, but we've had two 20% declines since. So in fact, this has been a really disrupted recovery since the 2020 lows. And so I think we are in a new bull market because we just had another essentially wipeout that happened February to April this year. I do think that the bigger story arc is that there is a big surge in U.S. prime age workforce. That's the millennials and Gen Z. Plus, they're inheriting a lot of wealth over the next 20 years, which is going to be transformed into more equity exposure, less credit. And the third is that the U.S. is at the center of a lot of the major structural changes taking place, AI and now blockchain. But those are going to really boost financial sector, which could re-rate to like 40% of the S&P. And then, of course, healthcare could benefit. So I think there's a lot to be excited about. And 2035 sounds about right. That would be a 10-year bull run from here.
There you go. So that I'm kind of flabbergasted every time I hear that 10-year bull run. But I mean, look, it actually could come to pass. I'm not saying that Tom is incorrect, but I think what he's talking about here is he's lumping in together all markets. And he's talking about traditional markets, obviously, because he talked about 20% drawdowns. We know that in 2021 and 2022, Bitcoin hit its all-time high of 67,000. And then in 2021, it was the high. 2022, we dropped 77% on a 17,600. So that would be the crypto markets, but there's a correlation between that and TradFi. So what makes him think that this 10-year can go through? I think it's all about your perception of zooming out and how far you zoom out. And there could be a case to be made, especially for traditional markets, that they are in a massive bull market. And we've been hitting S&P 500 highs now for weeks, and we keep hitting new all-time highs and new all-time highs. And we'll see where everything goes. I'm not so sure about the digital asset market, but some people are calling for a super cycle yet again, just like we did in 2021. So maybe it could happen. The big question, though, is it's not whether it will or whether it won't happen. It's how do you hedge yourself against it? Because nobody really, truly knows. And I think there's a case to be made for dipping your toes in the water on both sides. 2025 Q4, 2026 Q1, Q2, 2027, 2028, which we'll get to in a little bit. But this next last part, it's about 30 or so seconds. And it's just, he asked Tom, the moderator here, is asking Tom, like, what is his best financial trade or his best investment? And it's kind of funny to hear Tom like say, well, they're all pretty great. But the one that he talks about makes a lot of sense. And I think this is what we should be talking about more on this channel. So just take a listen. This again is about 30 seconds. And then we'll get to like probably some more of the not so great stuff. So here we go.
In terms of the best investment I think that we've made is I'll say based on the feedback we get is really people saying that we kept them in the game. So like when I run into people and they're saying, Tom, and they're not subscribers, they're maybe someone who follows Twitter, they're like, Tom, you kept me from selling everything in April, or you kept me from selling everything in 2020. And I think that that is something they're grateful for. Because as you know, once you sell something because it's a painful decline, you're so reluctant to get back in. So just keeping people invested has been big, because a lot of people said, now we've heard people say that their retirement plans have been moved 5 years forward, or they've been able to retire because the market has really helped them save money.
And that's pretty much it. I think that's the big thing. I know, we sometimes take a look at people on YouTube and we talk about how they're showing this or they're showing that, or they're so ultimate bullishness. But in all honesty, hope is really what kept all of us going in this market. Hope is what kept us going during the bear market, and it's actually what's keeping us around right now. So, there is a case to be made to be a little bit more positive and focus more on positive things, as opposed to like, this is the worst thing of all time. So I think even I need to take a lesson out of that book. So let me know what you think about that in the comments section. So we talked about the good things, but I have to give you a little balance about what is potentially on the horizon. Although when we take a look at it, it's not too bad, but it's something to be definitely concerned about. Peter Schiff. That was a dramatic entrance, but Peter Schiff has never met a recession he didn't like. And same thing with Robert Kiyosaki and a whole host of others who are always calling for a recession. But he does have a point around this time, just like he had points before, but he talks about how what's happening in gold now reminds him of what happened in 2007, where he talked about there was just a harbinger of bad news. And of course, gold was massively increasing in valuation because of the coming financial crisis, which was the Great Recession. And that is true. On top of that, Kobe's letter just says this: breaking, gold's monthly relative strength index hits 91.5. It's the most overbought level on record. Let that sink in. It's bigger than 2001. It's bigger than what we just talked about in 2008. And it's big in 2020 when we had that thing called coronavirus. It is so overbought. It is it is all-time high for gold. Why is that so important? It's because people get into gold when they are fearing things that are happening in a recession. And Ted even says here, gold is up 54% this year, silver is up almost 70%. When you have precious metals go up like this, it's because something's about to break. And I'm not saying it's going to break, I'm just saying that there are definitely major problems coming in. And if you've been trading in gold or investing in gold, I have a little bit. I don't have near as much. It's because I've been more heavy into Bitcoin, digital assets, and real estate. But it's had a marvelous run, and over the last 12 to 18 months has really taken a big time. Now, if we overlay Bitcoin over the last 5 years, as we talked about yesterday, the big debasement trade that was, if it actually would come up, it was pretty good. I guess not. Well, let's just take a look over here. This is what gold price would be, or gold price has historically been during the recessions. I found what was interesting with this one was that you go back to 1973, of course, we were taken off the gold standard by Nixon, and 71, I believe, and of course, 73, 2 years later, we had a big fat recession and gold went up 87%. I think it was fresh in everybody's mind, so they say, you know what, we got to get into gold. So it went up 87%, very small amount of time. S&P 500 dropped, like usually what you would expect. But here's where it gets a little wonky. In the next recession, which we can see over here, 1980, gold was down 5% in the 1980 recession. It went down, and the S&P went up. 1981, S&P went up again 6%, and gold went only up 1.6. 1990 recession, S&P 500 went up again 5%, and gold was only about 0.1%. So there's a big difference between the market and the economy. The market is not the economy, and the economy is not the market. So there's different things. But more recently, we can see that in 2001, gold went up 5, S&P down almost 2. 2007, 2008, parts 2009, I think, you'd see that gold was up 16%, S&P down 37, and then more recently in 2020, we had S&P down S&P 500 only down 1%, and gold only up 5%. So if we take a look at that, and we overlay, well, let's say this is gold, the price of gold. Here's the recession going back to 2012. We can just see that it actually rallies into these recessions. And we can take a look also at Bitcoin. And you can see, and of course, it's just valuation difference. But it's interesting right now that they are both, first of all, they both rallied into a recession. And then, of course, isn't this interesting, though? They rallied into a recession. And you would think they'd do great during the whole recession, but they both dropped. That was, of course, 2020. Kind of strange times, right? Now, of course, we're rallying again, and here we are. But look at this. As of today, well, as of the last couple days, we've hit all-time highs for both. So what does that tell you? I think there's something coming. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't want to be like the Kiyosaki's of the world and Peter Schiff's and saying, you know what, recession's right around the corner. I can't be that guy, but there is something concerning. And also, everybody was talking about this not more than 6 to 9 months ago. And what happened? Treasury yield spreads. In almost every instance, the Treasury yield from 10 to 3 months, 10-year and 3 months, you can do 10 and 2, but this 10 and 3 is a little bit better as far as like telling recessions. You can see that when it inverts and uninverts, you have a recession. And to make this very clear, this is very easy. So this is what it's supposed to be. You're on the yield for treasuries, right? Obviously, if you have less months, it doesn't give you as much. Back in 1998, you had a 5% on a 3-month, 5.27 on 6. On a 1 year, it's 5.4, and so on and so forth, right? 20 years at 6%, 30 years a little bit lower. But when they start to invert, because something's wrong, something's going really crazy with the market, and then you start to see like these things like 3 months go way above the 30-year. And you're like, how is that possible? It's because people are scared and they want to pile into the US dollar. And that's when you get a recession. Because when it inverts and uninverts, you get a recession. And essentially that's what's happening here with Treasury yield spreads. If we can take a look here, and it's funny because, well, it's not funny, it's a recession, but it is interesting that in every time it inverts and uninverts, well, the only time it didn't happen, I will just preface it with this, I don't want to be too doom and gloom, right, is that it happened just a little bit here in 1966. It inverted and uninverted, no recession, no problems. But then it happened in 69, 73, 80s, 90s. And look at this. As it inverts and uninverts, so it inverts below the 0 level here, so it's inverted and it uninverts. You go from here to like 3 to 4 months, you get a recession. That's the 90s. You come over here, 2000s, inverts, uninvert, you get like a month, recession. You come over here, 2006, 7, 8, 9, you invert in 06, you get a much longer time frame, about a year or so, recession. And then also, of course, in 2020, you invert, you uninvert, uninvert again, and you're in, actually, no, you're in recession, and it's about 3 to 4 months you're in a recession. Look at this right now. There we are. So it inverted in 2022, had a nice long run. We're uninverted as of December 2024. Uninverted. We've had all this time. I just think that there's something on the horizon. It seems like a very long play, but I just want to be everybody aware of what's happening and what's going on and that these things could actually happen. I know people say, hey, it's going to be a super cycle. Well, black swans can knock that out, and so can recessions. So we'll see how it goes. Although, as a reminder, gold and Bitcoin do usually rally into recessions, and we are at both of those all-time highs. So we'll see. And even as staunch as a supporter as you have as these super cycles, sometimes people backtrack. And somebody told me about this yesterday on the live stream. We actually talked about this in the last NFA Live. And the question I had was, do you believe that this is going to be a super cycle? Raoul Pal talks about the business cycles. And we took a look at it and we said, yeah, maybe. And then just yesterday, Raoul Pal comes out with this. It says, I think it needs to explain that although I see an elongated cycle, it doesn't mean my analysis is right. And it's good on him for doing that because he was so staunch with it. And he could still be right. He could still be right that we could see a elongated cycle, just like our guy, I would not be him, just like Tom Lee talks about 10-year cycles, super cycles with small drawdowns because we have the institutions there. Just like when gold came in 2004 and got its first got its ETF, and then it rallied till 2009 or 10. Actually, no, 2012 as a matter of fact. So it was, again, roughly about an eight year or so super cycle for gold, if you want to say it like that. And we just had an ETF for Bitcoin a couple years ago. So could this happen? Sure, this could. And then, Raul talks about in this very long, lengthy one, and good for him. But as a reminder, I know we talk about recession and people get nervous. They only average 10 months. And that's when they actually call it. Because when you're in a recession, people around you know it, but they haven't called it yet. But when they do, it usually averages out about 10 months, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. But remember, usually the markets bounce back first, then the economy bounces back. So you could actually be looking like around 6 months, and these things could happen. But that will lead me to my last point, so we can get to the best part of the show, the Q&A, which is this. We talk about these things, so what are we going to do? Well, my plan is very simple. I don't know where it's going to go. I know which indicators to look at, but of course, all models are wrong and some are useful. But I'm going to have to still sell in Q4, this Q4. And I'm not looking for many of those indicators to pop off, but I have to sell some. And what it'll be is I will sell a little bit of Bitcoin, but I will sell vastly more altcoins later on. So I'm thinking somewhere in the range of around 20-25% of Q4 of Bitcoin and roughly 50% of altcoins. And then in Q1, Q2, another 15 to 25% of Bitcoin, and then pretty much 95%, or excuse me, 95% to 100% of the rest of my altcoins. And I am out for that part. And that's just me. You, of course, need to decide what you want to do. That's what I'll be doing. And that's it for today. So if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. And we talk about is time sensitive. Now let's get into the Q&A and answer all your questions. The good stuff. That's a good one. Shawib says, how high will my meme coin go? Meme coins get a lot of trash thrown at them. But I mean, there's one called, what is it, SPX 900 or SPX 6000 or something like that. The one that Moldev talks about, the big meme coin guru. And that one's done phenomenally well. Now, am I going to invest heavily in some meme coins? No, but they are it's like going to Vegas for the weekend. You have a little gambling fun. Everybody's okay as long as you don't spend your kids' college tuition. You're fine. If you lose some, you lose some. But you just be responsible. So how high will my meme coin go? It depends on what it is. And hopefully it goes up big and fat. Let's see. Rahab, you telling us when is the topping? Usually topping indicators sneak up on you. Yeah, they do. It's like the potholes here in Puerto Rico. They only come out at night, and they sneak up on you before you know it. You're in one heavy. Let's see. That's it. SPX 6900. How can I forget that? I was thinking about selling most of my Cardano bags. Are you still going to do a video with Crypto Crow about how ADA is lagging behind? Yeah, I guess you were one of the few, Charlie, who was able to find that video. Jason messaged me yesterday, said, hey, there's this new collaboration function on YouTube. I want you to collaborate on this video. So I went there, checked it out, and did that. And I did it wrong. And I said, oh, we'll do it like this. And I just said, hey, there's this video. But I need to get him on the show because if there's anybody that knows, I mean, there's a lot of people that know a good amount at Cardano. Jerry's one of them. But, Jason Appleton, Crypto Crow, he's the guy I used to watch when I got into Cardano. He's been very consistent in what's happening. So I need to get him on the show for sure. Yeah, I wish someone would have told me to buy a wad of BNB at $300. Yeah, what a ripper. I think there's going to be a lot of those coming up. I just don't know if it's going to be Q4 or maybe we creep into Q1. I don't know. But I think I still say we got a big rally ahead of us. Because look, we're still going to get rate cuts. We're still going to have money printing. We're still seeing that tariffs are not massively inflationary like everybody thought that they would be. And it looks like if we can just get the jobs humming along quite nicely, which will happen when we start to cut rates, and businesses and banks can make more loans and take more money out to pay things, I think we should be just fine. However, doing that, cutting rates and those types of things, the inflation will go up. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, we're gonna have some good times now to pay a big, massive price later. Jimmy says 600 people watching, only 9 likes. Come on, people. Come on, people. I would either hit the like button or leave a comment. For some reason, YouTube seems to like comments. I don't know why. Aswin says, this is a great question. Are you going to rotate to gold or cash when the crypto rally is over? The idea is that when I sell 50% of my Bitcoin, the idea is whatever that half is. Let's say I have 1 Bitcoin, I sell 50%. I sold half a Bitcoin, I have half a Bitcoin. The idea is that to be patient, and during that bear market, the price will slide down. Will it slide down, 87% like in 2013 or 77% like in 2021? I sure hope so. But if it doesn't, let's say it slides down, let's be really conservative, 30%. Can everybody see a drop off from 30%? I could definitely see it. So in that situation, the idea is to buy it back and not stay too much in cash, because cash is a melting ice cube. Remember, for every year that you're in cash, you're essentially losing roughly 5%, somewhere around there. It always fluctuates. So I'm always just thinking to myself, okay, I got a year to use this money, or else I'm actually losing money. So I will be taking that, putting that into stable coins and cash for when deals come around. Because as fun as this channel is, there's only so much that I can do, And I know, like Texas Joe even said, he's like, I've been watching you for years, Rob, but I'm getting tired. And I don't blame you. I get tired too. I think this is a great thing. This is the future. I just saw Jack Dorsey put out a video from Square where they're rolling out this new function for small businesses or businesses in general to start to take Bitcoin transactions for payment, and there's no fees for the first year. I mean, I was looking at that, I was like, how great is that to actually bring these businesses into the fold and say there's no fees, so I don't have to pay PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, or anybody else at 3% or whatever they're paying? Oh, that sounds good. I'll do that. And then if they really want to amp up business, they can do that same thing and then say, hey, if you're paying for Bitcoin, 2% off. Because I save 1%, you save 2%. That sounds good to me. Those are the types of things that are exciting, because that helps small businesses and growth. And that's what is fantastic. It's just that, again, we get a little tired, and there's only so much you can do. All right. Crow is the guy. Crow is the guy. Yeah. Texas Joe says, Rob, I'm worried about that plan of yours. I'm out Q4. Nothing wrong with that. And Texas Joe could be totally right and time it perfectly, which I hope works out for both of us. See, Joe is right for him. Crypto Billy is right for Crypto Billy. Frank the Tank Degen is right for Frank the Tank Degen. Whatever you guys do is right for you. So for me, I'm just hedging and saying, okay, I don't know if it's going to be 2026 or if it's going to be 2025 as this like blow off top. So I'm just going to hedge. I'm going to sell in Q4, historically speaking, and then I'm going to wait and see what the indicators say in the next leg of 2026. What would really suck is if everything's going perfectly. Now stick with me on this one. Everything's going perfectly. We get the money printer firing. Jerome Powell's on the same page. He's cutting left and right. We've got banks and we've got new sovereign nations buying up Bitcoin like crazy, and everything's going good. We got a new big beautiful bill that's coming in, and there's a nice strategic reserve, and the U.S. government is buying Bitcoin, and then oopsie, we get a war, and something comes out and it's massive. Or oopsie, we have one of the big companies that have bought up Bitcoin, and it turns out to be a massive Ponzi scheme. Or oopsie, there's some big factor behind the scenes that leads to a macroeconomic crash that has nothing to do with crypto and drags us all down. Could that happen? Sure. I think it was almost the same thing in 2021, although in 2021, rates were actually increasing. And then on top of that, in 2022, we saw that the money printer stopped. So what would really suck is if everything's going good and we get some kind of black swan event and screws everything up, and then you round trip your bags again. So that's why I'm just going to say I'm going to take the profits and go from there. If I don't make that extra $1 billion, I think I'll be okay. Meme says, Rob, do you use a credit card that pays you back a percentage of purchases in digital asset of your choice? I have Geminis and chose Bitcoin. I'm wondering what else is out there. I don't. I've been with the same company forever, and they just give me cash rewards back, just cash rewards, which I just go to pay down the actual debt of my card, which what Meme is doing sounds pretty good. It's just that I use my credit card for everything. And it's actually, it's a funny thing because I'm so deep and heavy into either crypto or real estate that my bank is quite anemic. And my credit card is quite maxed out for during the last 2 years. So I don't do that. I try to pay it back so I can get the balance down because I'm just so focused on putting it back into crypto and back into crypto and so on and so forth. But if someone knows another card, like I think Fold card has some kind of credit program, and they pay you back in Bitcoin, I believe. But that's all I know. That's really it. Ed says BNB is showing that capital rotation is still progressing normally. Breath or a sign of relief. I got to tell you, BNB has been quite the big surprise for everything that's going on. My guy's out here. And we can see here, BNB, as of July 11th, this year it was only $700. Now it's pretty much doubled. So congratulations. You know, who says a felon can't make a bunch of money? I don't know. Is what happened to CZ a felony? I forget. I don't know if it's a felony or the KYC AML charges, but who cares? He took one for the team. That guy's a legend. So look at that. But yeah, very nice. BNB is looking good. My favorite, I mean, I have some BNB, but I'm just waiting for Aster to go up pretty well, but it's not. I think there's a month has been pretty good. I mean, it's doing okay. I think everybody's kind of worried about this October 17th airdrop. So they think that everything's going to dump on the 17th. So we'll see. We will see. I don't know who told me to buy BNB, but thank you. I mean, we talk about it as far as like stable coins. I mean, I think we've talked about the stable coin and the thesis that we have. Visa. Speaking of people who are worried about people using Bitcoin for payments, Visa tracks stablecoin transactions. As well they should. When your lunch is getting eaten by something else that you think that you're going to be the king forever, it doesn't work like that. So we can see, anyhow, stablecoin transaction volume as of last month. We've talked about this. Ethereum, Tron, BSC, Solana was September. August, Ethereum, Tron, BSC, Solana. Ethereum, Tron, BSC, Solana. Tron, Ethereum, BSC, Solana. Tron, Ethereum, BSC, and so on and so forth. And that's just the transaction volume. Transaction count, a little bit different. Binance Smart Chain, Tron, Solana. Binance Smart, Tron, Solana, Polygon. Binance Smart, Tron, Solana, blah, 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 blah. So that's the thing. And then we go down here. Stablecoin cumulative, as far as USD volume. Jeez. Oh, that's over 12 months. I was like, man, they did 3.2 trillion this month. But this is over 12 months. Let's just go to, let's go for the monthly, see where we're at. Huh. Tron and Ethereum are the winners. Coming in at third place is Binance. So, I mean, that was the thesis all along. Just invest in the rails, and that was one of them. So I'm glad it worked out. RG says bottom will probably be in the 70K. I can see it. Cash the melting ice cube. Sol is starting to make a move. Yeah, it's good. I've got more soul than I can control, and I need that bag to pump. Let's see. From top to bottom, it's usually 1 year. Do you think we'll play the same this time? I sure hope so. Jimmy? Everyone talks about a bear or bull market, so when we enter one, maybe we need a new animal until we are clearly in a bear or bull market. And I was going to say sloth. Yeah, we could do a sloth. Just something that's lazy and does absolutely nothing and just moves sideways, slowly. It's a pretty good one. Fairfax, I'm starting my DCA machine in January 2027. That sounds good. Robert says, how do you get around crypto capital gains when rolling Bitcoin profits into stablecoins? It's just us, Robert. I can tell you how to do that. There is no way to do that. So unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. However, I did learn something last Friday. I had Mark Kohler on the show. And because that big, beautiful bill, did you know now that you can take those, first of all, you set up your own like little LLC side hustle business, right? You can take those funds that you got from the appreciating value of whatever that Bitcoin was or whatever digital asset. Let's say it goes up, you buy it for 100,000, goes up to 400,000. And so you have 300,000 cost basis for your taxes. You take that 300,000 and you roll it into some part of your business. You roll this into some real estate land, real estate property, whatever else it is. And then you can take that fund that you put in there and you don't have to pay taxes. Watch that video with Mark Kohler again. It's the one from Friday. I need to actually put that in the almost like the crypto critical videos because that's the best way. And that's like if you're not planning ahead. Robert, if you're really planning ahead, which I think is one of the better options, is just use a Roth IRA. Roth IRA is a retirement account. So you can put those funds into your Roth. Now, you can only do so much per year, and this is only for Americans, fortunately. But they have different programs in different countries. And you put into a retirement account. You have to wait until a specific age, depending on where you're at, 59 and a half, I believe, here in the States. And when you take it out, it's tax-free. That's how, did you guys ever heard of this guy named Peter Thiel? I don't know if you know him, multi-billionaire, early investor, founder of PayPal out there, and big tech startups and things like that. And that's how he made billions and billions of dollars tax-free. What he did was he took his shares of PayPal, which were worth pennies on the dollar, and he put that into his retirement Roth IRA account. And of course, he was very young at this point. And of course, PayPal had just started, gone public, it was only worth too much. Then all of a sudden, it ballooned to this massive, massive, massive business that what it is today. And of course, that appreciated in value in his Roth IRA, and it's all tax-free. So I think we have the same opportunity with Bitcoin as it appreciates to, if Michael Saylor is right, $14 million per Bitcoin. We'll see. I mean, for Pete's sakes, no one's price predictions were right. I did a video on that. Everybody was wrong, including myself. If it appreciates, which it should, I don't know, it's going to be 14 million or 10 million or a million, I don't know. Then you are still in good profits. Or if you want to do something really great, just move to Puerto Rico. When you move to Puerto Rico, whatever you have come here with, unfortunately, you still have to pay the taxes on that. But once you step foot in Puerto Rico and you put all the necessary paperwork in, you are no capital gains taxes. Also, if you have a business and you can bring it over here, you pay 4% in corporate taxes. If you're going to buy a house, the taxes are substantially lower here in Puerto Rico. It is the best place. And it's not just because it's like because you get those perks. It's always nice here. People are great. Potholes suck, but what are you going to do? And, it's like the best place of all time. So you do something like that, just wait a little bit, everything's good. We moved here in end of 2020. It's been fantastic. So you can do that. I even did a video on it. There's a link in the description, I think, or maybe not. Maybe it's, if you search for digital asset news, Puerto Rico, you'll find it. You can meet Peter Schiff. He's my neighbor. All right. Rusty Bot is special. All you guys are special. Gas fee fees? Let me see something real quick. Hold on. I need to have this thing catch up. So gas fee fees has been here forever. And I don't see here, Texas Joe. I'm going to add you, moderator, Crypto Billy, moderator, adds a moderator. Frosty Peas isn't a moderator? Standard moderator. And bots for R, yeah. Just making sure. For some reason, it doesn't come up anymore. Oh, that's probably why. Let's see. I am not good, kind, much love. The moderator inflation is real. This is true. I'm showing you exactly how the money printer works, or the moderator printer works. As I'm debasing the wrench of the moderator. Incoming wrenches. Yeah, okay. Gas fee fees, for some reason, like I see you on my side, but when I go to the YouTube side, I don't see you at all. And I can't add you as a moderator for some reason. I figured that out. Rob Max had his wrenches, probably so. That's what it is. And I think that's it. I got to figure out how to get gas fee fees a moderator. That's crazy. Anywho's it. Guys, I think I answered everybody's questions today. So far, so good. So I think it was a pretty balanced show today. Again, you know, who knows what it's going to do, but I got to take some profits and I want a round trip. And if I'm wrong or right, I mean, that's just what's good for me, not what's good for everybody. Everybody, that's it for today. So if you like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe. That is it for this one. Tomorrow morning, we're doing NFA Live on Guy's channel. And he's got some pretty good things, pretty good questions coming out. And we're going to delve into that whole real estate tokenization of real world assets and stuff like that. So again, me, Guy, and Ben over on Guy's Coin Bureau's channel. That's it for today, everybody. So thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you hanging out with me for 38 minutes. That was nice. I'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.